Made for relationship. Have you ever had a moment where you asked yourself, why do I feel so alone, even when I'm not alone? Maybe you're surrounded by people, maybe even loved ones. Yet something still feels missing. That ache, that longing for something deeper, it's not a flaw in you. It's actually something God placed in you. And Genesis 2 helps us understand why. In Genesis 2, we zoom in on the creation story, not just how God made things, but why He made them. Especially us. Let's look at a few truths we find here. 1. You were made with care, not by accident. Genesis 2:7 says, "Then the Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life." That's not distant, mechanical creation. That's personal. Hands-on. Close. God didn't speak us into existence like the stars. He formed us. He breathed into us. That means your life is sacred. You matter, not because of what you achieve, but because of who made you. Real-life connection. If you've ever felt like you're not enough, or that your life lacks purpose, Genesis 2 reminds you, you were lovingly formed by the hands of God Himself. 2. You were made to rest, not just to run. Before sin ever entered the world, God created rest. Genesis 2:2 says, "By the seventh day God had finished the work He had been doing, so on the seventh day He rested." Then He gave that rhythm to us. But so many of us are exhausted, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, trying to prove our worth. God invites us to slow down. To rest, not because we're lazy, but because we trust Him. Real-life connection. What if your worth isn't in how busy you are, but in how well you know the one who made you? Rest is not a reward for finishing your to-do list. It's a gift God gave you to remind you, you're not alone in holding everything together. He is. 3. You were made for connection, not isolation. Genesis 2:18 says, "It is not good for the man to be alone." That's striking. Everything else God made was called good. But aloneness? God says, that's not good. So He creates a companion, not just a romantic partner, but a deep soul connection. This tells us something powerful. Even in paradise, even with God present, Adam still needed human connection. Real-life connection. Maybe you've been trying to carry everything on your own. Maybe you've been afraid to open up. But you weren't created to do life alone. Healing often begins when we stop hiding and start reaching. 4. You were made to reflect God's image through relationship. When God creates Eve, Adam says, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Genesis 2:23. There's a beautiful unity here, not control, not competition, but partnership. God designed human relationships to reflect something about His nature. Love. Trust. Oneness. That's why broken relationships hurt so deeply, because we were made for something more. Real-life connection. If you've been hurt, or if relationships feel messy, know this: God doesn't run from brokenness. He enters it. And He's restoring what was lost, one step at a time. So let me say this to you, with all my heart. You were made by a God who is deeply personal. He formed you with His hands. He breathed life into you. He placed you in a world full of beauty, rhythm, and relationship. And even when things broke, when shame entered the story in Genesis 3, God didn't walk away. He covered their shame. He sought them out. He promised a Redeemer. That's who He still is today. He is the God who forms. The God who rests with you. The God who connects. The God who restores. So if you're tired, or lonely, or wondering what your place is in the world, Genesis 2 is calling you back, not just to the beginning, but to the one who never stopped loving you. God is still working. Still seeking. Still inviting you into relationship, and that, my friend, is very good news.